So since I've been in my room packing up a lot of stuff in anticipation of the move in a month and a half to 2 months, it's still a ways out there. I've basically been able to get a good amount of anime watching done. So going down the list on here. First of all, I watched Kobato Collection 2, or the second half of Kobato, and it was pretty entertaining. The most interesting thing about it actually wasn't anything the anime did specifically, so much as I've gotten so used to key animations endings, that I was almost predicting something more along those lines than what is a more clamp ending that Kobato ended up having. And really, that's not a bad thing, but it almost makes me wish that there was another anime out there kind of like that. But then again, they are, because that's why I was almost thinking the ending would take that kind of twist. So it's a fun thing about watching a lot of anime, that sometimes you watch too much to properly predict stuff, I suppose, unless you really sit down and think about it. But I guess that's the point. You shouldn't really be sitting down to think about this stuff. You should be watching it and enjoying it, unless you're trying to sit down and think about it, I guess. I don't know. Okay, I'm going a bit back and forth there, but Kobato. After that, I watched Oremo. I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing that right, since I haven't heard anybody pronounce that, but that's how I'm reading it. And it probably would have been a really, really, really liked anime if so many of the character types were just kinds that I don't generally like. I've talked about how I don't like anime that think that male violence in and of itself should be something inherently funny, and this anime seems to lean pretty close to that even from the beginning, and outright going into that as it progressed. That said, a lot of the entertainment value of it isn't specifically in that. I think that's just the component that was missing to bring it over the edge into something that I thought was really, really, really awesome. And what it did do that was interesting was, oh god, I forgot already. I could have thought of this before starting anime analysis, but oh well. I'm trying to remember this here and give honest impressions without trying to think about it too much. And I guess it was just really interesting coming into, watching an anime. It's about a protagonist not into anime who, while the character of the anime is about, is into it, I guess. So, it's almost like a reverse Genshiken, almost, in a way. Genshiken basically is told from the point of view of people who do like it, but interact with some people who don't, and kind of come to accept it. Whereas Oremo is told from the point of view of somebody who doesn't particularly like it, but it gets introduced to other people who do. And I thought a lot of the way it flowed was actually pretty intriguing. I just can't wish I could think of a more concrete feeling of why I felt that. Oh well. It was interesting, and I did watch the specials too, like I said in my DVD update. The specials are included on this, so it's a 16 episode collection. So it's got the 12 original episodes, and it looked like the last episode. Is 12 right? It looked like the last episode was something that differed from the manga version of it, which is kind of almost ironic given the way the anime was presented. Certain events in the anime that I don't want to really talk about too much, but I think those of you who watched it may get what I'm going for, and I mean ironic in the classical sense instead of the newer ironic, where since the story is about a certain, since the story covers a certain something, the, that that something would happen in the anime itself seems to be ironic. And I guess to kind of explain my full thoughts there, I have to go into full spoiler mode. But anyways, they called that the good ending, and then the other is the natural ending, I guess, where the specials cover more what happened. Maybe it wasn't the last episode that differed, but the last two episodes. It was the end of the story that basically did it. But the specials covered, I guess, what is the more natural events, and they're kind of interesting because they explore another character, and I could almost see there being a good case for other content, and maybe the original source material does have that, but the series is pretty much about the protagonist's little sister. While the specials are mostly about one of the friends in that peer group. And the third, one of the people in the sister's anime peer group, not to be confused with her non-anime peer group. And there's a third character in the anime peer group that the anime hints at a whole lot about, but we never get a complete answer on that stuff. So I guess I wonder if maybe the manga, because I think it was a manga that this stuff was based off of, if maybe it covered her or has additional story that wasn't covered in the anime. I don't know. But there's some very interesting things about person number 3 that I would have, I guess, liked to see more about. Oh well. What's sad is actually pretty neat. I could understand why a lot of people would like it. And to be honest, since I brought up Genshiken, my initial gut reaction is that I enjoy Oremo more. Anyways, after that, I watched Blue Exorcist Volume 1, which covers the first 7 episodes of the series. My guess is that it's probably the first of a 4 DVD release, since there's 25 episodes in the series, and I don't think 799 makes sense, so they're probably doing 7666 episodes probably. Anyways, that aside, I thought the contents of that were really interesting. Oh, let's see. I think somebody mentioned on my anime list review, sometimes you just breeze through something and you catch the first sentence where somebody mentions, oh yes, it's a pretty stereotypical shonen, and I think that's a partially accurate way to say it, but I think a qualifier is necessary. That's what I was thinking. I was almost thinking that it felt like a kind of anime version of Hellboy mixed heavily with D. Gray Man or something like that. And if we compare it to D. Gray Man, that's when we start talking about stereotypical shonens, which do a little bit more than just have these standard setups. They also have certain pacings and distractions that they like to go through. And it doesn't feel like Blue Exorcist is doing that, especially if it's only a 25 episode series, unless it's incomplete. But anyways, it's been interesting thus far. I'm very interested in seeing where it goes from here. I think it's one of those series where whether or not it kind of leaves you hanging at the end is the real determinant on whether or not I'll walk away from it saying, it was okay, or that was cool. Hard to say. And so like Oremo, Aniplex of America is also including the specials on these DVDs. Um, some of the special, the Blue Exorcist stuff was a bit more complicated than Oremo because I guess part of it is there's still some stuff coming out, and there was like an OVA and a movie and then a specials, and trying to figure out which of the three those are. And one of them is explicitly called, I don't remember what it's called. It's got a weird title, but you can find it as a subtitle for one of the three categories. Obviously, it's not the movie, but of the other two things, whatever it is, and I'll link to it in the comments, I guess. It has the first couple of episodes from that, maybe the first three, if I remember right. In any case, the basic idea is it's a nice complete release, and I can't really think of anything particularly noteworthy to say about them other than they cover stereotypical, amusing concepts that they don't always cover in the show itself. And to finish up, since the Queen's Blade Blu-rays arrived, I decided I should probably catch up and finish the Queen's Blade stuff, so I watched Queen's Blade 2. And, of course, the specials that came with that as well. It was okay. Once you get the concept of Queen's Blade, the fact that every other scene is pretty much a girl with boobies hanging out, clothes getting torn up, whatever. When you get used to that as a concept, if that's the kind of thing you're looking for, then I guess it's going to be a really exciting anime because there's plenty of it. If you're looking for other stuff, it's kind of, you're just waiting for those subtle moments here and there where they manage to do it in a way that you didn't expect. And there's a couple in Queen's Blade too, but nothing quite like the very beginning of Queen's Blade. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. But I was actually kind of hoping that it was setting itself up for a really good ending, and I thought it set itself up right, but it kind of fumbled at the end there a bit. And it wasn't too bad, but I think it missed out on a lot. It really needed a slower paced, kind of more thorough ending, I thought. Maybe not as extreme as like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, which made the ending to that series just so fulfilling. But maybe another episode dedicated to the ending would have made it actually a really worthwhile story to go through, even if it would have been a pretty stereotypical concept to go through. And then it just ends up being a really weird way to express that concept, which can be kind of interesting to explore. Sort of like how you might be interested in exploring different zombie apocalypse genres, but I don't know. I'm kind of digressing there. And Queen's Blade specials, nothing to mention other than I think they're somewhat more perverted than the series itself, but they're kind of fun in a let's just have fun with the characters way, I guess. Oh well. Anyways, that's everything I watched in this past week. It's a good amount of stuff. It's only 4 titles, 3 of which had specials, but if you get down to it, that's probably the equivalent to 2 entire series and then another half series or something like that. This is a 26 episode series thing I'm talking about. I could be mistaken. I didn't try to do the math. I should have tried to do the math. And that's actually not too bad considering that I think I just zombied out in one day. Oh well. Anyways, I got a lot of stuff this week, and obviously I've already covered 3 of the things from it. There's other things to look at, so it should be interesting to poke around, and there's of course plenty of unwatched anime to look around.